In this video we're going to look at how we find the x-intercept. Well, let's start off with a bit of a review about how we found the y-intercept. And remember, we used a couple of different methods. So the first method we used was looking at the table when the x value equaled 0. So here I have a table. What we do is we look across the x values until we find x equals 0. That's our clue for the y-intercept. The second method was that we looked at a graph. Here we have a graph already plotted, and we actually go and have a look to see whereabouts does the graph cross the y-axis. Once again, at 0 across and 1 up. And thirdly, we can do it algebraically. So what we learned was that if we have a rule, y equals 2x plus 1 for example, we can substitute 0 into the rule, so y equals 2 times 0 plus 1, and then the answer, y equals 1, gives us the y-intercept. So we put 0 in and we get a 1 out. So we can use the same techniques to find the x-intercept. So our first technique was to look at the table of values. But in this case, instead of looking to see where x equals 0, we're going to look to see where y equals 0. So I'm looking across the y values until I find the y value and where it equals 0. So that gives me the x-intercept, -1, 0. Well, the second technique is to look at a graph. So here we have a graph already plotted out, and I want to find where the line crosses the x-axis. Here it is right here. So therefore, the x-intercept is -1 across and 0 up. So you notice that y value is 0. Now, our third technique is that we use algebra. So once again, we start with the rule, y equals 2x plus 2. And this time we substitute in the y value to be 0. So then we start to solve it. So the first thing I'm going to do is take 2 from both sides. So I've got -2 equals 2x. My second step is to then divide by 2 to both sides. And I find out that x equals -1. So that tells me that the y-intercept occurs at -1 across, 0 high. Well, what about some special cases? So in this case, some horizontal and vertical lines. So I'm going to look at horizontal lines first. So if I look at a table here, remember what we wanted to do? We wanted to look across the y values until we can find a 0. Well, if I look across there, there's never going to be a 0. So that means there is no x-intercept. If I look at actually a graph of that, you can see that this red line here never crosses the x-axis. So once again, if it doesn't cross, there is no x-intercept. Well, my third technique is I can use algebra. So let's have a look at algebra. Let's make y equal to 0. Well, first of all, the rule was y equals 2. So if I replace the y with a 0, I get this ridiculous statement that 0 equals 2. Well, we know that's not true. It's a false statement. And what that's telling me is that there is no x-intercept. So now let's look at vertical lines. Lines that go straight up and down the page. Now remember, we couldn't write these rules as y equals. So we had to write them as x equals. So first of all, if I have a table, you can see that all the x values equal 3. So therefore, it's going to be pretty clear that the x-intercept is going to occur at 3, 0. If I draw a graph of that rule, I'll try and find the x-intercept. Once again, it's pretty clear. Here it is, the line cuts through at x equals 3. So 3, 0 is my x-intercept. Now I'm not going to try and do it algebraically because you can't really put y equals 0 into a rule that doesn't have y. So linear rules can be written in different ways. They're characterized by having the x and y values having no powers above them. So in this case, I've got a rule 2x plus 5y equals 10. Now that's a linear rule. However, y is not the subject. So in this case, if I want to find the intercepts, the easiest way is to actually use algebra if I haven't already got it graphed. So we start off with, if I want to find the x-intercept, then I need to make the y value equal to 0. If I want to find the y-intercept, then I make the x value equal to 0. So those zeros are just telling me it's on the x-y axis. So I'm going to start off with trying to find the x-intercept. Start off with the rule. Then I replace the y value with 0. So I have 2x plus 5 times 0 equals 10. Well, 5 times 0 disappears, and I end up with 2x equals 10. I solve that by dividing both sides by 2, and I get x equals 5. So therefore, the x-intercept is the x value is 5, and the y value is 0, which is what we made it. Well, let's try finding the y-intercept. So this time we're going to make x equal to 0. Once again, start off with the rule. Replace the x value with a 0. So what that does is it makes the 2x disappear, and you end up with 5y equals 10. Now to solve, we divide both sides by 5, and we end up with the y value equal to 2. So therefore our y-intercept is, I made x equal to 0, and I got the answer of the y value equal to 2.